right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is MUSICUS, if I'm remembering that correctly. If you recall, we did a recent interview with Manga Gamer about this title. It's our latest one over here. You know, it's not our latest interview with Manga Gamer, but that's on another show. And indeed, we didn't cover MUSICUS on that program either. Even though this game does get down with the sexy times every now and again. But that being said, MUSICUS is a mature visual novel in a real sense. You know, it's not just because it has sex and tits in it, though that's certainly helping. You know, granted, the Manga Gamer version has more of that because Steam being Steam. That being said, this is about this is about going into adulthood. This is about finding yourself. This is about choosing a career path. Dealing with fucking suicide. Very heavy topics. Drug use shows up later. I don't think I got up to that part too heavily. Just a lot of legit adult situations that you don't see in a lot of, let's say, anime-esque media. Obviously this is a visual novel, but, you look at the actual graphics, and it's not something that really conveys that this is going to be a heavy treatise on the ennui of young adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
But that it is among other subjects. Like I said, not gonna lie, this is a big one. I don't know how long it is, but I got 10 hours in. Still didn't reach the part where they form the actual band that the protagonist plays in. Granted, I wanted to spend more time with this, but this was a busy week for me. That's another portion of adulthood. Sometimes you've got to get a vaccine shot and be out a day. Anyway, so getting deeper into the details, you play as the protagonist, Kei Shushima, who's in a bit of an interesting dichotomy in terms of visual novels, because he both has and has not and does not have a personality. To explain that, he has a name, he has an entire fucking backstory, he has an arc. He's an actual character. But what they haven't really given him is is so much a face. Like, he does have a face, but it doesn't show up regularly. But most importantly, he doesn't have a voice. He's the only character in this production who doesn't have a voice, which is usually a sign of a blank protagonist. And I'm going to be honest here, I think they should have voiced him. When you're adding this much character to a protagonist of a visual novel, you should probably go the whole way then. Because he already has a voice.
Mm-hmm.
He already, no, seriously, this is one of the most defined visual novel protagonists I've ever come across. Certainly the male variety. Getting someone this fucking three-dimensional doesn't happen often when they have a penis and they are in a visual novel. Because, you're supposed to project your own personality into said protagonist. That's a lot of this kind of media, quite honestly. But, and like I said, this one does have fucking, but that's a side thing. That's a character thing versus, sex for the sake of sex, which is the point of a lot of other visual novels that Manga Gamer brings over. So, and I do think that's an important designation. I really, really wouldn't qualify this as wank material. Not playing it. Maybe if you find the screen, the screenshots online, I could see that. But one of those tales where if you're in the mood, I'm gonna question a few things. Certainly didn't do anything for me, which I think is one of the points. That being said, one of the major foci of this game is music. Very briefly, Kei Shushima, he's studying to become a doctor. Though, in all honesty, he's really far away because he's actually I want to say a third year high school student, and he's like studying for entrance exams in university. Like cram school comes up, and he's not really feeling that path, but there's actually a lot of other baggage behind that. And he, through a sequence of events, gets involved with music, specifically playing the guitar. And this is the part where I'm a bit iffy on in terms of reviewing, because I don't know if there's any big CG animated sequences that shows the entire band playing.
If they were, you didn't get to them.
Yeah, if they are, they are buried kind of deep into the whole thing because, well, once again, this is about a guy journeying into that life. And to be honest, the musical accompaniment sometimes matches. Sometimes you'll hear some generic rock. I think there was one band that actually got a vocal performance, though it was more background music in that way that visual novels do. Sometimes it had more typical light visual novel music with no guitar or anything like that there. Sometimes it'd be very quiet. Sometimes background noise. All depends on the scene. So as far as how the actual music in this game is, it's hard to rate. I will say it does have the benefit of being a visual novel, because one of the hardest parts about being a music-bound, say, book is you can't hear the music. That can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the context. For example, if your story hinges upon, say, producing the best song in the world that ends world peace, that results in world peace, it's easier to have that left to the imagination than actually play it. Looking at you, Bill and Ted 3. It's that's the kind of thing that you're never going to be fully able to have credibility on. It's the same kind of phenomenon when you describe a very beautiful person in print. Just absolutely stunning, godly even. That kind of resonance is going to be different for people. Even if you do provide a description. These are those subtler things that don't necessarily translate from one medium to another.
Trying to find a space to make a friggin' Tenacious D joke, but I can't.
Oh, I'm this is just a tribute.
Yep.
Oh, anyway, but yeah, MUSICUS doesn't have that particular hurdle in theory, because once again, there's music there, but it's not really the focus, which is a bit weird to say most of the time. I think it really only manifests as a problem when they're actually at shows and it doesn't go through with the performance. It's happened a few times. You know. Um, Now, in terms of visual novel gameplay, you are given choices at various points. I gotta admit, I don't know how much they add up. But here we go. Okay. It offers choices, but as I thought, this isn't a route-based visual novel, or at least not a typical one. As in, there's a lot of, there's a lot of seeming romantical choices in terms of girl selection, but that doesn't really seem to matter all that much. Once again, your typical visual novel tropes, they're here, they're sideshows to a much deeper story that an actual novel would be telling. And I do find that very respectable. It's not the best one of these I've ever come across. That's still The House in Fata Morgana, which I think was the first Manga Gamer visual novel we reviewed. Come to think of it.
Might be. It's out on a lot of things now. Still recommended.
Yeah. It's still one of the best, if not arguably the best visual novel we've ever covered on this program. That being said, this is still a really, really solid piece for what it's doing. Now, in terms of pricing, this is where you better be sure you want this, because this is among, if not the most expensive visual novel, at least basic edition, we've featured on the program. It clocks in at a whopping $44.95. $45.
That is not a small number.
No. Which kind of tells you the kind of production values that went into this, and the length. Like, the more expensive a visual novel is, the more voices there are. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some CG cutscenes in here, because when you're running at that price, you usually have those. So I can recommend this with the caveats of you do need to be sure that you are wanting this, and you are going to, because I can't recommend it along more traditional visual novel lines. That is to say, if you're looking for a sex romp, Manga Gamer is certainly not lacking for choice. Oh God, they are not lacking for choice. But if you're looking for a proper story, this is something that puts the novel in visual novel, truth be told, and it has a really excellent localization too. I can go very high recommendation, overall, just one of the best visual novels we've covered on this program. Probably going to be in the top list at the end of the year, at least for me. Where it lands, not sure. Will I ever go back to this? That's the thing. We really don't go back to things because, the assembly line must move. Anyway, any other comments, questions, concerns, or whatever on MUSICUS?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm satisfied. I wish I'd had more time to actually try it out.
I mean, in fairness, you can...
I know I still can, but I am also in the same schedule you guys are for a lot of things, so...
Right. Okay, so, yeah, that'll about do it for MUSICUS here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Galix will be covering Fancy Solitaire.